Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very special Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. So every Tuesday, 9 o'clock, I am interviewing top producers, and today is no exception to that. Although it's going to be more of a mastermind format, we're going to be bringing in and out a number of top producers, and we're going to be doing it around a topic as to why are top producing mortgage professionals and mortgage executives getting on Clubhouse, this hot, exploding new social media platform that is audio only. We're going to talk about why they're doing it, and then what are they doing? So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, you are in the right place. I've got with me as my co-host for today's call, Todd Bookspan. What's up, Win by Noon, Todd?
Hey, not a whole lot. It's great to be here. I feel like I've spent almost my whole day with you guys after coming out of Clubhouse and jumping in here on Zoom.
Yeah, well, I love your background with your Airstream, and I think it's super cool that you and your family are traveling around the country and just picking, hey, where do we want our backyard and our living room today? So I love that, brother.
You know, we finally have good enough weather. I've been broadcasting from the queen size bed in the front of this thing all year, and we're out for just a little bit longer. We'll be heading home for a bit and then hitting the road for a few months again this summer. So it's been a blast, and always great to be hanging out with you, Dave.
Where are you? What city and state are you in at the moment?
I am in Louisiana, New Orleans. We were here for Mardi Gras, not intentionally. It just happened to be when we got here, and it was definitely fun. I've always wanted to come to this city, and my real dream is to be here for Jazz Fest because my older brother's been here for like 20 straight years for Jazz Fest. But it was fun to be here. I can't wait to come back.
Right on, right on. Well, we also have Catherine Peterson. She is a top producing mortgage professional that I've interviewed, I don't know, more times than I can count, a lot of times. I'll let her share her production in a minute, but where I really think she brings a lot of unique value, she's been using Clubhouse now for weeks, and she looks like she's doing some amazing things on it. So Catherine, why don't you jump in, tell everybody who hasn't heard from you before a little bit about your mortgage platform, and then we'll get into Clubhouse.
Okay, great. Yeah, so my team closed, which is I'm the only loan officer on the team. We closed 124 million last year for 380 units, so crazy year, but a great year, and just love Mortgage Coach. Been on it since DISC, let's just say, and really have built that into my business in lots of different ways. So always happy to jump on these calls with some of my friends and pass the word on how awesome this program is and why we love it.
Well, one of the things that I've always felt makes you super unique in our platform is, first of all, you're in a pretty small market. How big is your market in Steamboat Springs, Colorado?
We have about, let's call it maybe 15,000 residents. I'm in a second home resort area in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. So we are a very small town. So how we operate our mortgage business is a little bit different than you would in a city. So reputation is huge. So that's really where we spend a lot of our time, is just building that reputation and keeping that reputation, because that has definitely impacted our business greatly. So.
Yeah, well, and you are the market leader, so you are the top mortgage professional in that small market, and you're doing a lot of production in a small market. So for anyone listening, being an advisor, being a black belt mortgage advisor, works in every market, regardless of market size. So I always find that interesting. So let's get into the Clubhouse conversation. I've asked this question to you in other venues, so just assume that no one has heard it. But why are you spending time and bringing leadership to Clubhouse?
Yeah, so I actually, Todd brought me on, and he made an early morning post. I know, and it was like, hey, who wants to be on Clubhouse? And I'm like, wait, I heard somebody say this word. I'm gonna go check it out. So I quick Googled it, and I was like, me, pick me. So luckily he brought me in, and I immediately was like, whoa, this is gonna change the world. So it was just like, I couldn't think of it. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I couldn't stop being on it. And a lot of people have that same, I think, reaction when you first get on. I heard about one person who was on for 27 hours straight because they were like, there's so much potential here. So my old wheels started turning, and I thought, you know what, there's so many uses of this. So for a while it was just listening and getting excited about all the different ways. And then I just started kind of popping into rooms and met a bunch of people on Clubhouse that I really like, and that we've been able to build some community around the mortgage arena, because when I first got on, there was really no mortgage rooms. So we're trying to just build that community in Clubhouse, because honestly, we all miss each other. So it's been a great place to kind of reconnect.
Well, it's interesting. Everybody has a different why. I mean, my why is I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, and I want to change the world and how people get into debt. They get a total cost analysis. So it's, my why is the more mortgage coach can get mentioned, the more the total cost analysis can get mentioned. I'm either bringing new loan officers in, or I'm spreading the word. So, I mean, it's a very different, and of course I want to learn. Leaders are learners, and it's a great place to learn, but you're a loan officer. So like, give us some examples of specifically how you think it's going to help you be more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of some of the potential I see in it is, if enough people in my town get on it, I can really be that community leader in my town and bring in different businesses, different people, different trainings, things like that. Also, it's a great platform to teach agents, to discuss with agents, and to create that community. So I see both of those from the loan officer perspective. Obviously, if I was a new or even 5-year in loan officer, learning from other LOs is huge, and it gives us that platform to do that and to ask questions live, which is a hard spot. You go, even at a conference, that's difficult to do, but you have access to some really, really good originators that are really helpful as far as that Clubhouse vibe is really to help and educate.
And guys, just to give you some perspective on how fast this thing is growing. Now, this is a couple weeks old, but you look at this thing, and when it started, and then you just look at the growth, like it's almost 12 million. And look how fast it went from January to February. So, I mean, we're talking explosive growth. I'm going to try to, while we're talking, find, maybe some newer stats, but I'll bet you it's exponential. So I do think what Catherine described is real. Like, I think there will be consumers, there will be real estate investors, there will be realtors, there will be CPAs and financial planners. So if you're a local mortgage professional and you want to be the most well-known, most well-respected mortgage professional in a specific geographic community, it looks like this is happening. Catherine, do you have any numbers on it or anything you want to add to that?
Going to that town hall every week has been huge. So the creators of the app do a town hall on Sunday mornings that really go through what they're looking at adding. So at some point, Android will be added. Right now, only iPhone users can use it. So once they add Android, we expect those numbers just to go crazy. They are also going global. So there's a lot of people who have been joining lately. So that has also kind of built things up. But I would say the more people hear about it, the more people get on it. I mean, we saw the reaction on the Mortgage Coach Facebook group of the people who want invites and are already on. So I just expect it to continue to grow from here.
Yeah, and I just looked, I did a Google search, how fast is Clubhouse growing? And they said 5 million downloads this month. And that was 2 days ago. So, I mean, guys, it's exploding, and it is an opportunity. Todd, any questions you have for Catherine, or any direction you want to take this?
Yeah, just a quick thing on Clubhouse. I read an article on it that it was valued at 100 million about a year ago, and now it's considered to be a unicorn with over $1 billion in valuation. And it's just kind of crazy that something that you would thought in today's world, where video is what we talk about being the thing, that something that with audio only would kind of come back in and steal the show. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. But yeah, I think
wait, time out. It has not stolen the show yet. I very, very far from it. YouTube is still the #2 search engine on the planet Earth, and video is still alive and well.
Stealing the spotlight though currently, right? I think
it's in the spotlight, no doubt. It's hot and fast growing.
I mean, even when, Zuck from Facebook gets in there and starts a room or participates in a room, then it's a big technology. And my guess is he just couldn't hide and try to be someone else to learn, although I got to imagine that they and everyone else are trying to figure out how they can come up with a way to keep people engaged in their current platforms. But, I just love it. I mean, as I said, this morning on the other one, when you follow other people, so I would encourage you guys to follow other people that are mortgage leaders, because then you can see what rooms they're in. Then when you're going on there to look around, you can see and search and see how that is. So when you go in there, Catherine, how are you deciding where you're going to spend your time? I know you're leading some rooms, but are you also participating in others?
Yeah, I participate a lot. So if there's a really interesting room, I'll go in and listen. So Elon Musk was super fascinating, things like that. But I also will go into rooms that I think will be helpful, like how to build your profile and how to moderate, things like that, just so I can get a little bit better idea of the platform. But also, yeah, it's there's some really good borrower rooms, like first-time homebuyer seminars and things like that I try to hop into through some of the relationships I've built on Clubhouse. I do get brought up a lot, which is helpful. So I have created some leads out of it. So there's a lot of different ways to participate, just depending on what you want. It's hard to be a fly on the wall. So it's easy to be a fly on the wall to a point, and then it can also be hard to be a fly on the wall. So it depends on the room that you're in and kind of what the goal is out of the room. But so there's the strategy is still developing as I learn more and more about Clubhouse.
So Catherine, I have a question for you, and then we'll bring Keith Collins in, who just joined us, another one of the Mortgage Coach moderators. But how are you balancing your time? And let's face it, there's being a loan officer and a top producer, plus you're a mother and a wife, and then there's all these different social media channels, and there's part of them that, hey, it's leadership and it's value. You're either learning or you're influencing and you're building audience. And then there does get to be a point where, hey, it's busyness and it's taking away time from my bigger goals and priorities. So how do you plan? How do you prioritize a little bit, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, that's hard. Which it is always hard when there's something new to learn, and we all get really excited with the new. So for me, what I've been really trying to do is at night, Clubhouse is pretty busy. So I'll, walk around the house, and it is a multitasking app, and they built it that way. So I'll fold laundry and do things I need to do while I'm on Clubhouse. So then it's not like I'm not doing multiple things at the same time. But also I try to pop on rooms and schedule it no different than I would schedule anything else. So obviously this morning, Mortgage Coach, I darn it, I'm going to be there. So it's things like that can really help me. But I also knew that if I spent a bunch of time at the beginning to build followers while it was still only at 1 million people, that was going to help me later. So I saw it as also a placeholder and really making my spot so that it was available when and if I needed it. So I really tried to focus a lot when I first joined, because you do have some kind of special advantages when you're new that help me build my my followers, and it helped me build my influence and help me build my friends on Clubhouse. So I did try to really dedicate more time when I first joined to kind of get that set, so I could spend more effective time later, if that makes sense a little bit. But it's still being determined how exactly, how to divide out the time and where it's the most effective. But certainly being with my mortgage peeps is good. Being on homebuyer rooms is good.
So let's come back to that, because I'm with you. There's a first mover advantage, and it's skyrocketing. So it's a land grab right now. And then my other takeaway from you, which I'll have to be thinking about personally, because I've always listened to either an audiobook or a podcast when I'm driving or when I'm working out or taking a walk. And it looks like you've added Clubhouse listening to that. And then when you schedule things, that's where you're leading. That's where you're being strategic. In the world of Gary Vee, there's jab, 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 right hook. It sounds like, hey, I'm jabbing when I'm doing laundry and I'm walking, and then I'm throwing my right hook. That's when you're scheduling a meeting. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely fair.
Okay. So, hey, Keith Collins, first of all, dude, you're an awesome marketer. That post that you did this morning to help promote the kickoff of Mortgage Coach on Clubhouse was awesome. So thank you for that, Keith.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
So we might have some brand new loan officers that haven't heard me interview you before listening into this. So I want to make sure we give them a little bit about who you are. But guys, to me, Keith Collins, he is the example of a modern mortgage professional. When you break down what is it that makes up a modern mortgage professional, we could just take a picture of Keith and, you know, he does it all. He uses video, he uses social media, he builds a brand. He's a leader who's always working on leadership, and he's an advisor. He's done over 1,000 mortgage coach TCAs. So could you just give everybody a minute on who you are, what market you're in, a little bit about your mortgage practice?
Yeah, man. Thank you. That was awesome. Way to jump on stage, man. I appreciate that. I'm in Northern California, Sacramento market. Been doing home loans almost 17 years in this area. Everybody had an amazing year last year. I did too. It was awesome. I did about 90 million in personal production. We helped about 250 families. And then I also run a region. They call me a market leader in my company. We do things a little bit different. I'm really like an area manager of a region that we closed about 750 million in production. And we helped about 2,000 families. And I opened that region in January 2018. So my team itself, I pretty much hunt. So I go after the realtors. That's kind of been my target, is going and establishing relationships with great realtors, and then building a team around me to help take care of the home loans as they come in. So more and more as I'm running the region, I'm not having as many of the borrower consultations as I used to, but we built the team that way. My goal is to guide and love on our realtor partners. And that, like, as a pivot, is really where, for me, from a social media standpoint, everything that I've been doing from a video standpoint, content, and really now Clubhouse is like, my goal is to expand my influence in the marketplace, help and connect with others. But really, like, my target audience has always been realtors. And that has been kind of the best place for me to really get new business and take advantage of social media and all the different aspects that we have available to us.
Hey, one quick question before I get into your Clubhouse why, which is coming soon. When I did that interview with you, I don't know, it was probably 6 months ago, and it was how you and your team use Mortgage Coach. Is that still how it works? Your team sets up the total cost analysis, and then you add the video and deliver the strategies? Is that still?
Yes, for the most part. We're slowly transitioning even more from me away from it, where I brought on a team LO beginning part of last year. And she now is actually recording the majority of the videos to the customer. I probably have 30% of the post-approval consultations in that, and I used to, do 75% of them. So I'm usually having the initial phone call with the customer, 5-10 minutes, goals and dreams. And then I'm looping in if there's issues. Like if there's a big issue, Keith Collins comes in and makes a phone call with the customer, or if they're shopping us or something like that, or if there's a consultation that I need to jump on. Or what does happen is I've got a couple of VIP agents, or I've got a couple of agents. They realize that I have a team. They love the team. They get the idea of not being a solo Suzuki, and but they will say, Keith, like, this is an important person for me. Can you please handle this one? It doesn't happen often, but I get that text from an agent, and then I'll handle it. But yes, my team, we have an initial phone call. We set the expectation, like we call it a CCI. Here's what the customer's looking for. And usually when the application comes in, based on that initial call, my team can set up the file, run with it, create the TCA, send it to the customer, have the consultation. And then I'm following up with the listing agents when we're writing offers to try to help get the offer accepted.
Got it. Well, we'll have to interview you again, and it might be fun to interview someone on your team. And then Mortgage Coach community, if you want to hear how Keith and his team use Mortgage Coach to deliver advice, I'll put a link down below with a great interview on that. So Keith, what is your Clubhouse why? I have to imagine it has something to do with realtors, given that you said my number one focus is realtors, but what is your why?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably two things really. 2020, I'm a seminar junkie. I've said this a lot, and 2020 changed all that for me. I didn't go to one event in 2020, and I would go to at least one event a quarter. It was where I get my energy, my juice to kind of carry into my market and my business. And I've been really looking for a place to kind of get that information and be able to have conversations with other people in the industry. So I've done some masterminds, and I think masterminds are really cool. And the difference with a mastermind versus going to an event is someone's on stage unpacking something that's really powerful. You can't in an event, like raise your hand in the middle of sales mastery and be like, wait, can we talk about that for like 30 minutes in a room of 1,500 people? Like it doesn't work that way. And I kind of fell into Clubhouse, and I'm starting to see like that's what Clubhouse is. And so the opportunity to, then the other thing I think is sorry, I'm jumping on you here, but like as I scrolled this morning, getting ready for our call, there's a lot of real estate talks. There's a lot of real estate coffee talks. There's a lot of, maybe real estate talks that have some mortgage flavor in them, but there's no one specific mortgage talk that I saw that's dedicated to mortgage professionals on Clubhouse. And that was kind of when I had reached out to you too. I'm like, man, there is an opportunity here. So Clubhouse Y is like, when I created that post, legitimately, like, I don't see how a new loan officer, and this isn't just for new loan officers, but how a new loan officer would be able to ask a question of somebody who closed $160 million in production last year if they're not in their market, right? Like if I work in the same market as that person, they're in the same office, maybe I have access. But outside of that, it's really hard to get that access, and Clubhouse has completely eliminated all that. So I think it's a great opportunity for people to just learn and grow from people who are doing it in the trenches.
I love that. You said,
Yeah.
let me call something out you said just now, because I think this is interesting, where you said, I'm able to learn in a very uniquely collaborative way. And you use the analogy that, hey, I'm at Sales Mastery and someone is sharing, I can't just raise my hand and go off topic. And you're right, that is a super unique element of Clubhouse. What about, there's the learning, and you're a leader, so I get it, and maybe this is it. You're just on it to learn so you can be a better leader. Or are you gonna do things like Catherine, where you're scheduling meetings and you're trying to, do some right hooks, get some realtors into community, get some leads, recruit some agents? What are some thoughts on that?
I can absolutely see that happening for myself in the future. This big jump that we've had, into there with Mortgage Coach is kind of my very first like really big leap. Like I hadn't moderated a call before the one that we just did today. I've been kind of, I'm jumping out of rooms, and just listening and kind of getting an idea what it is. But I can definitely see it growing to that. I want to learn a little bit more about it, and then take it to my agents. I don't have any of my current real estate partners. They're on Clubhouse, but they're not doing a lot of stuff on Clubhouse outside of just attending and learning and growing. So I do. And right when I jumped out, the conversation just started going towards D2C. Josh Pitts jumped on, which is super cool. I'm sorry, not D2C. D2C. And Josh Pitts started coming on, and Scott and Josh started just repping on how to turn this into something that can go get consumers. So I do see as a platform that can get there. I'm still trying to figure out how to do it, but I for sure, I've already landed agents from Clubhouse. And so,
whoa. Talk to us about that. Tell us the story. How many agents, give us the result. I want to know about that.
Yeah. So, social media is just a place for awareness, right? And so the specific story on the one individual agent that I did, and it's actually a group. They're a larger group of female realtors in the area, in my market, that just an amazing brand. They're crushing it. What they're putting on social seems so fun. And you get this really cool social, you get it. I feel like I know what it would be like to be in a transaction with them, yet I've never been in one, based on what they're kind of putting out there on social. And so I've been following the lady that runs it. And then I followed her on Clubhouse, and you get a notification when people jump into rooms. And so I got a notification, and I just followed her, been watching a couple stuff, jumping on a couple of rooms that she's been talking on. And the conversation pivoted to client appreciation events in 2020 during COVID. And I'm like, I got that down, nailed. And so I raised my hand, and I just started sharing our experiences that we've had within the team on client appreciation events during COVID. And that's where the conversation went. She messages me directly during the Clubhouse on Facebook and says, we have to talk. And so it was an opportunity for me to connect with her. I probably left 6 messages for her. She never returned a phone call. But then I get in that room, share a couple ideas on how I'm utilizing, and really it was like whiskey tastings, how I'm utilizing Zoom to have client appreciation events. And we've had 3 or 4 conversations, and she's about to land an 18-unit builder community, and she wants me to put the preferred lender on there. And that Clubhouse call was 3 weeks ago. So that's how I see social media specifically, but Clubhouse and just another avenue for me to target, follow an agent, try to see an opportunity to add content, stand out in the crowd, and then go from there.
Well, dude, that's an awesome success story. And if you're watching this, Mortgage Coach community, if you're on Clubhouse, you're getting value from it, let us know. We're going to keep this conversation going. Catherine and Todd, we're going to probably have a spike of our crew in a few minutes, and we're going to be probably focusing a lot of the call on other people's why Clubhouse. But Catherine, you want to share real quick some first mover ideas you have? So like a loan officer gets on Clubhouse, how can they, what should they be doing to get a land grab and build audience?
Well, so it's in a little bit of parts. I was kind of frustrated actually at the beginning, but it's learn and listen. So go to the rooms that explain what to do with your profile. Go to the rooms that explain what to do when you're new. Take full advantage of your party hat, which is what you have right at the beginning, because you will get pulled up more often. So that's a good time to speak and add value. You also have to kind of develop your style. So, your quick elevator speech, if you do get on stage, kind of what to do when you get on stage are all really important because it's all about kind of adding value to others. So that's a really important part. And then start following the people that you know. So I kind of every few days check Steamboat Springs. Who is new from my community? Quick reach out to them so that I'm starting to build that community in my community. And then I also kind of to connect with other mortgage people. If I see a new mortgage person pop on, I try to always, connect with them. So it's kind of building that in a few different ways. Also, you can do that for, look at your city and you can search realtor. You can also search emojis. So there's lots of different ways to find people in your community and then connect with them. You can also collab. So basically say, hey, here's this agent in my town. I'm going to see if they want to do a room on this. So I did that a little bit at the beginning as well. So there's some ways to kind of start to build that community. And those are just my really quick versions of that. Obviously, we could dig into each one of those individually, but that's kind of what I would do if I was new again. Well,
First of all, I mean, that idea of just being the kind of the welcomer to new agents that are coming into your local community and, welcoming them, I think that's smart. And in a sense, that's kind of what Keith did to get that agent relationship. I mean, it wasn't intentional. It doesn't sound like he has a rhythm around it, but I think it makes lots of sense. So if you're a mortgage coach leader listening to this, that I think is a great idea. If you lead a team, you might want to make sure someone on your team is going in and checking, and you guys are just making sure you follow. Like if you want to own a local market and a realtor, a referral source, a top customer, top referral partner jumps in, you might want to get after that. Keith, any questions you have with Catherine about that, or anything you want help with? So given that she's got a few weeks experience on both of us. You're on mute.
Yeah, no, I know. I was using my Zoom. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to, your party hat, you called it, I think if maybe explain that. I don't think a lot of people understand what that is. And then tactically, I guess if I had a question, would be how do you search I don't know how you search by your area. I thought that was a really cool idea that, you can search by new people that are jumping on in your immediate city. That's cool.
Yeah, so a few things. That the party hat you have for 7 days, right, when you get on Clubhouse, and it's there.
I missed my party hat. Darn it.
Yeah, you missed your party hat. Sorry, Dave. I did see your party hat, I think. But so when you do have that, it basically tells everyone you're new. So they're a lot more forgiving. Let's say if you jump on stage and you don't mute yourself, things like that. So you can also tell when someone else is new, which is great because you can say, hey, welcome to Clubhouse. And connect with them that way. So, but also there's rooms that if you're new and you ask a question, they will bring you up because they want to make sure that they're involving the new crew in what's going on. So that was one of the ways that I could look today in the mortgage coach room to see who might be brand new to Clubhouse in this room, because that does help you reconnect with people and connect and find people who maybe just joined. As far as searching, when you're in the app, if you search, as long as people have the name of the city that they're in their profile is the only way to find them. But also if they're in your phone and they join Clubhouse, you may get a notification that says, hey, this person just joined Clubhouse. Do you want to join a welcome room, or do you want to follow them because they just joined? So sometimes you can find them that way as well, but they do have to have it in their profile, what town they're in. And if you don't have that in your profile, I would 100% add that, because that's huge. Even if you, like, I've even searched my state. So having both of those as words in your profile, any word in your profile is searchable. So keep that in mind. Did that answer it, Keith?
Keith.
Okay. Yeah.
I know. Sorry. No. I'm with you. So I got the all the new stuff here from the call upgrade, and so I'm still kind of going through it all as I jump through Zoom. So yes, that answered it for sure. I think that was super cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And I want to make sure everybody caught that, because I think that's going to be very interesting, that every word in your profile is searchable. So when you're searching for people, be thoughtful of that. And when you're creating your profile, be thoughtful of that. I mean, let's face it, just about every answer we want to, every question we need an answer for, you can get it on Google if you know how to ask for it. And so I think taking that logic and applying it to Clubhouse, both as a leader, I want to be searchable under these terms, and I want to be able to use it offensively. I think that's interesting. So we had Tony Blodgett join us. So Tony is a longtime leader in the mortgage coach community, was a top producing mortgage professional. Today he's a executive. Tony, are you in a place where you can turn on your camera and talk? Maybe he's just got a placeholder here and he's not here yet. Todd, you don't have your camera on, but want to give you a chance to either ask questions or call out something that you've heard. You know what I think is happening here is we've got some folks that are multitasking and going back and forth between Clubhouse and this show. What do you think, Catherine? You think that's what's happening?
It could be. I know I've tried to kind of keep my eye on it, and I did pop out after a little bit, but definitely. And the FOMO is real. So on Clubhouse, it's like when Keith said that, I'm like, darn it, I missed that conversation. So that's, I know. That's the part.
And we still have 50 people getting after it in our group. I just checked it out. So it looks like the very first Mortgage Coach Clubhouse. I don't know. What did you see how many people we had in it? I think it was in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, I didn't. I was trying to kind of moderating is definitely a task. So I try to check it as much as I can, but I missed it with popping over here. So I was trying to ping people into the room as much as I could and keep that as active as I could.
So let me ask you another question while we're waiting for some of these guys to get back and we can get their why. Being active, and being a moderator, what are some do's and don'ts as a moderator, and what are some do's and don'ts, like if I'm in the audience and I want to get into the conversation, what are some do's and don'ts around that?
Yeah, so first on the moderator piece, you kind of have to watch the room a little bit and control the room a little bit, so you're in charge. So if you have somebody, you first and foremost, people will raise their hand and you need to bring them up if you have time to do that. But before I bring them up, I always quick check their profile just to, so I know something about them. So certainly if you're new to Clubhouse, make sure you get that profile at least built a little bit, or some people will not bring you on stage if you do not have a profile built because they don't know who you are or what you're about to say. So it gives you some credibility on the stage. Also, so I try to peek at those and then bring them up, but then you also have to guide the conversation. So you kind of have to say, hey, Dave, tell me about this, or hey, Dave, I want to know from you this. So you kind of have to guide so that everybody isn't talking at once. And then you have to also make sure you're getting to the people that have questions. And that's the hardest thing, is how do we control the time a little bit so we get to people and really they have time to utilize Clubhouse in the way that they want. Because if you have somebody on stage and they never get their question answered, it's super frustrating for the person that has a question and can't quite get to you. It's also important to reset the room every so often. And what that means is just, hey, I'm here. This is what we're talking about. Please follow the speakers, because if they aren't following the speakers, they won't know when you have the next room. So all of those pieces and parts are super important, and it's hard to do that and also kind of watch where, who's speaking, who's going to speak next, and then guiding that conversation along with pulling people up that raise their hand and just kind of getting a good feel of the room, but then also letting conversation naturally continue. So balancing all of those at once is kind of the job of the moderator. So those are my quick tips, but it's definitely a lot.
Yeah, I am not going to speak to a place of experience on Clubhouse, but I have been a moderator, most of my life as a business leader, and I think this is going to be the case. But the number one goal when you're moderating is to find the gold and the genius within the group, and make sure that the gold and the genius comes out. And the goal of the moderator is not to be the smartest, the most clever. It's to pull out the value from other folks. So yeah. I think that's gonna be advice I give, but I haven't done it in Clubhouse enough to give advice. Guys, we are going to be building out some best practices, like, hey, here's how to be a moderator. Here's how to give value. Here's what not to do. One thing I know will be in the what not to do for all you mortgage coach people on here is be a rambler. It's don't talk too long. Try to keep it. 1 minute is a beautiful soundbite of value. So the more value you give it a minute, great. If you've been talking nonstop and 3 minutes have gone by, you might be rambling. If you've been talking nonstop for 5 minutes, you're probably rambling. So stop, give the voice to others. Any advice you have, Catherine, on how to, because I've noticed there's some rambling going on. Any advice on, as a leader, to keep the value and the influence and reduce the rambling?
The ways that I've seen it done are somebody says, hey, in 1 minute or less, ask your question and tell us a little bit about yourself. Or sometimes people will say, hey, we're a little bit limited on time. Do you have a question, or did you just have something to add a value? If so, we're going to need to move on to the next person so we can fit everybody in. So there's some ways to do that, but it is a little bit tough. Also, if you do have a rambler, I've seen a few, and I'm a little bit more hesitant to bring them up on stage. So that's another reason why not to be one. Because unfortunately you can be remembered for that and be like, okay, I won't do that again. So is that piece. We also did get a question in the chat. Do you want me to answer that, Dave?
Please do. Yeah, collaborate. Let's go.
Yeah, so the question was, any tips on choosing a username? And oh man, okay, so the original intent of Clubhouse was that you are a person, not a company. And so they want to make sure your face is not a logo. And that's another way to not get brought up on stage as a user that has a question. So always put your face as your logo, unless it's be right back or something like that. But as far as your username goes, for me, I did pick myself, but I noticed quickly that if I search mortgage, only people with mortgage in their username those come up sooner. So I've had to find followers a little bit differently, but ultimately I am me. And that also means I have other interests. So I've been able to do things outside of that. So I think it just depends on what your goal of Clubhouse is. And if your whole goal of Clubhouse is to bring people to you on the mortgage side, maybe you do use, your name and your city, or your city and mortgage. You do have a limited number of characters you can do those. So, and you can only change it once. So you have to be really, really intentional. And I just got on Clubhouse as quick as I could. But now that I've got my name, I'm just going to keep it. But I think if I redid it, I might have done something that related to mortgage. But overall, it's kind of depends on your goal in Clubhouse.
Well, it sounds like if you can change it once, it's, be thoughtful at the beginning, and then don't change it for a month. Make sure you really know what you're doing, because you're hearing from Catherine here that, hey, I might have done something different. So I would just wait as long as you can on that change once. Tony Blodgett, are you back by any chance?
I have a feeling we got into a good conversation.
Yeah, I know there's.
Sorry, guys. We just ended the group, so he should be coming back here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So Keith, why don't you, since you got to spend the most time on that group, why don't you tell us how you thought the first mortgage coach on Clubhouse went?
I think it went really well, man. I mean, I texted you that this morning. I think it was either last night or this morning. I'm like, what's a win for you, Dave, in this? And so, as I was just kind of trying to think about that, is this was really just setting the table. And I wrapped up the Clubhouse call with that. Is, today we're just trying to set the table with an idea of what we want to do. And I'm really excited about what this can be moving forward. Because again, as I look, I don't see a lot that's mortgage specific every morning. And I think this can be an opportunity, bringing some really, really high performing individuals into a room where anybody can ask a question and get help. And that's really the beauty of this industry. Is it's like, give it everything that you got and you can take what you want from it. And it's just a beautiful thing. But there are people that have gone before you that we can learn from. It's just, how do you get access to them? And Clubhouse is that thing. So I'm just really excited about the next coming days and weeks as we really have this awesome AM sales huddle to learn from others and hopefully help others, because it's really cool to make an impact in somebody's life and see how changing it can be.
So mortgage coach community, if you're listening to this, a win for me is if Mortgage Coach Mastermind and the community that we have here is giving you value. And that's why I interview loan officers every week and I put them on YouTube, and that's worked. Like, we know that that's valuable. That's a hub for new loan officers. That's a hub for top producers to learn from their peers. We know that the Facebook group works. I mean, it's a vibrant community of mortgage professionals. I do believe Clubhouse is going to be another vibrant community, and we want to figure out how to serve. So if you have an idea or you have an ask, put it down below. If you have a question that you want to make sure gets covered in one of our morning or evening huddles, the goal right now is every morning at 9:30, there's someone from the Mortgage Coach community starting a group that just says Mortgage Coach Mastermind, and who knows what it might say after that. And then at 3:00, there's a Mortgage Coach Mastermind. So if you see that in Clubhouse, know that that's what we're trying to do. So Tony Blodgett, how you doing, brother? How'd it go?
I think it went fantastic, Dave. I'm glad to be here. What an exciting way to kick off the morning. And yeah, that was a great room. I don't know how many people showed up, but it was a good crew. We had good participation, people jumping up on stage, and I couldn't be more thrilled about what we're doing here. I've really enjoyed my time on Clubhouse over the last couple of weeks, and to see more people get involved and more mortgage specific topics, I think, are so relevant. And look, the reality is those of us that are part of the Mortgage Coach community, I think, are a different level of originator. We're a different level of mortgage professional, and we want to do things at a really high level. And so to have this group contributing in a way that is not so much a one-way conversation like you might see right here. You're probably on Facebook watching this, or you're in YouTube watching this, and it feels like a one-way conversation. We're talking to you, but you can't really give a lot of feedback except for the comment section down below. And as I mentioned this morning in the room, Clubhouse is so much more of a collaborative conversation. We can take the topics that are discussed here and then put them into an environment where we can all mastermind and roundtable. It really takes the word mastermind and puts it into practice as far as I'm concerned. So I'm excited to see this evolve over time, and just glad to be a part of hosting some rooms and helping to facilitate the conversations and contribute where I think I can add value.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. Keith had shared his why, and he talked about how cool it is. Like at Sales Mastery, someone great from stage will say something, but it's not like you can just raise your hand and then talk about it for a few minutes. And in Clubhouse, you could do that. He also shared that he's already opened the door and had multiple meetings with a new realtor that he's been trying to get on a call, in the real world for a long time. And through Clubhouse, he got a conversation, and now he's in negotiations on becoming a preferred lender for, I think it was a condominium or some houses that they have. So he's already got a win, and he's only been doing this a couple of weeks. Do you have any wins, Tony? Anything that has happened that you're like, boom, this is my Clubhouse win?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I've had any big wins. I've definitely made a lot of connections that I did not have with people, high performing individuals in the mortgage space that I didn't have a connection with before Clubhouse. I mean, Catherine and Scott really being one of them. I've seen Scott. I've shared this stage with Scott, but now we've connected multiple times on the phone, texting. I'm really interested in leveraging his platform that he's developing. Catherine and I have been on the phone multiple times, and then a number of other people who've DM'd me, reached out to me, and just kind of organically growing that conversation. I do have an investment opportunity that came from this. That was interesting to me. And I was in a real estate room and I said, hey, I'm interested in more information. The gentleman reached out to me. It's a really good, lucrative investment opportunity I'm exploring right now. So look, there's so many ways that we can leverage this platform, in my opinion. And look, my why is just, if you know me, you know that I'm super passionate about the mortgage industry. I love sharing my ideas, concepts that's worked for me. I do have, as I said at the intro of the last call on Clubhouse, my upbringing through the mortgage industry is different than most. And I spent a lot of time on the executive side of the mortgage industry. And so there's parts of the conversation that I can always bring some color to that someone who came up just on the sales side may not have had exposure to. And I love, engaging in those conversations. And so that's my why at this point, is really just sharing information. But obviously I'm growing a region. I'm looking to expand my team. And so I'm hoping that through this process of sharing who I am, what I'm about, and what I can contribute, my philosophies around this industry. Sure, I hope that there's people that say, hey, I'd love to work with that guy. They're in my area, and we reach out, connect, and maybe there's opportunities to continue to grow my region organically through aligning with people who like the way that I conduct myself and run our mortgage business up here. So that's definitely a thought, but it's not the driving thought. And we'll see how that evolves organically over time.
Hey, you had mentioned, I think you sent me a text after we had one of our little moderator huddles, how impressed you were with Scott Nicholson's Lender Launchpad platform. Would you mind, just because that's one of those things where I'm a big fan. I mean, I've known about it for a while. And Scott, the way they integrate Mortgage Coach, the total cost analysis into an online platform, I've always been blown away with. But what are your thoughts on that? It sounds like that's one of your Clubhouse wins so far, is meeting Scott and learning about it.
Yeah, look, I was super impressed when Scott started talking about what Lender Launchpad was and how he was using it. I'm so impressed with his commitment. I mean, he's been working on this for a long time, but his ideas about how to leverage this with Clubhouse kind of blew my mind, to be honest with you. So look, I'm in my very infancy stages of exploring the platform, but I am set up on Lender Launchpad now. And what I really like about it is the ability to house all of my content in one area that keeps people kind of locked into one vertical of one platform. So I can tie in my YouTube videos, I can tie in my screen captures, I can tie in total cost analysis if I'm going to use those to educate clients or realtors. So having all of that confined to one kind of space where people can then explore and learn more about me, it's so much more robust than someone just landing on my YouTube page, because there's not a lot on my YouTube page or my Facebook page. You can find videos, but good luck. You got to scroll and you got to find the ones that are relevant. This is really concise and everything's lined up in one space on Lender Launchpad. But then the real power of it is, and I'm sure Scott's talked about this, but is the ability to text out that information. So you can put in your profile on Clubhouse, hey, text a keyword to this number, and I can push out a specific video or a TCA or something that's relevant to that actual keyword that person wants to know. But then it drives them back to your page on Lender Launchpad, and then continue to explore other things about you if they're interested in learning more about what you're doing and other areas, and really get to know you on a deeper level in your philosophies, or see other strategies that you might have that are in addition to what the keyword may have been relevant to. So like I said, infancy stages. I'm still working on fitting in the time just to get it all set up, but I'm excited about where it's going to go. And I'm really thankful to Scott for opening my eyes to this and then being so willing to give his time and energy. I mean, we were talking over the weekend, so he didn't have to do that. It's been awesome. And thank you, Scott. And I think everyone should check out Lender Launchpad, just see if it's a fit for what you're doing.
Hey, Catherine, I know you also put a phone number on your profile. Tell us what you're doing with Lender Launchpad.
I was so excited this weekend. I was like, Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. My poor husband. But anyway, so yes, I in my Clubhouse profile, I put in there, like, hey, if you want some information on first-time home buyer, click this. I did want a mortgage coach this morning and added that into my profile specifically for the mortgage coach call. So I also did a link to my Microsoft ad that I did. So I just some stuff I haven't been able to utilize well. And so what I'm excited about is being able to finally utilize some of these videos that I spent so much time doing. So I'm super excited about it. And I spent basically Saturday kind of getting those loaded, which is super easy. And still excited about building it more because I have a lot more videos to add. So I love it, love it, love it. And I can't wait to get out the content. So, and it's like that plus Clubhouse is amazing. And Scott has that amazing ability to look at a product and figure out how to merge it with another one to make it work. He's like a technology matchmaker. Ooh, that's my new name for you.
That's, you know what, you said that well. So I've known Scott for, maybe 2 decades. He's a mortgage coach, grandmaster. And as I've told everybody, my goal with Clubhouse is to change how people get into debt in America through a mortgage coach total cost analysis. So when I saw what Scott could do, where he's website link, and you can put a video, you can put a mortgage coach TCA, you can put, if you have social survey, you can put your reviews, whatever, just a mishmash of content. I'm a big fan. So Scott, you'll get a chance to tell about Lender Launchpad and how to use Lender Launchpad with Clubhouse. We may not have time in this call to do a full Lender Launchpad plus Clubhouse plus mortgage coach. What does that mean? But what's your Clubhouse why, Scott?
Yeah, well, thanks, Tony and Catherine. I mean, I'm huge fans. I mean, I've known both of them, but I've never really got to engage with them. I mean, I'm a massive fan of both of theirs, and Keith too. I get to now create some time with Keith, so I'm looking forward to the panel. But here's what's really cool. I mean, Tony just owned Clubhouse there. I mean, he's such a talent. So is Catherine too. I mean, and so like as an originator, this is what I would be doing for you, what you guys should be doing. You should, one, get into the mortgage coach community and create that big mass, right? And then start following the Keiths, the Tonys, and the Catherines of the world, so you can create that following base. I mean, there was a gentleman that popped on stage, Tony, Jonathan. He's a broker agent, right? And he's pulled 6 closed purchase transactions out of that, real estate transactions out of that, or one of the transactions out of Clubhouse already. 2 months, he has 1,300 followers. I mean, that's a goal of what a mortgage coach originator should be doing, is modeling the Tony Keiths of the world and moving into Clubhouse. Now, like they were talking the spin. So I posted something in the group just now. I put my profile up, and Catherine and I, when we go into our groups, we're going to post some morning content, right? The topic, Tuesday's call, the 23rd, and the topic actually, Katie Zitlow, right? She asked a question to us, right, Dave?
Yeah. Kelly Zitlow texted me a question last night saying, hey, what are the top 3 ways loan officers can help listing agents in this low inventory market?
So I answered that in Clubhouse. And so how I answered that was I immediately built, and you can look at my profile, I did a screenshot of it in the group here. You guys, so those who aren't in Clubhouse, obviously right now can't see it. So they can look at, so I answered Kelly, you can go ahead and text. If you texted low to that number, I'm going to deliver a total cost analysis that I built on how to deal with that specific problem. Right. And so now that's the whole point of why I see Clubhouse and the merge of the technology and mortgage coach and the TCA is, imagine yourself as a loan officer. You've learned your traits and your skill sets from Tony and Catherine's and the Keiths of the world. Now, in my 3 whys is learn, lead, and then provide. Lead, not getting up on a panel. Lead as far as you taking the reins and running your own rooms, right? Lead those consumers, lead those peer-to-peers, that referral partners, right? And then lastly, the provide. Answer her question on low inventory with that keyword response. So imagine having the whole audience text into it, and they get a custom mortgage coach analysis that you did answering the questions. So when they leave that room, they have the content right on their phone going, oh, shoot, check that out. I need to get hold of this young lady or this young man about helping me in that particular problem, problem solving on Clubhouse. And I think that's going to be a huge for our group moving forward.
Hey, what is the word? I got the phone number from your group, 562-679-7999. What's the word if they want to get an idea?
Or just text low. Just text low to that number.
By texting.
And if you were to text low, which we were all doing in Clubhouse, and I was then seeing everyone texting in that number, and I was engaging with all of the audience right there on the side while everyone was talking, of just say, hey guys, hopefully this helps, this solves the problem. So just imagine replacing the mortgage coach LO in the audience with consumers, right? And so now they're going, okay, that's a great way for my wife and I to get approved and maybe have a chance at low inventory now, or having a group of real estate agents saying, hey, I'm going to help you with low inventory. Here's how we're going to do it. What a great way to take the lid off that topic and really dive into that, and really separate you as the expert in that community versus unfortunately, imagine you're another group and there's no technology, you're just kind of talking, maybe get a 5 seconds of audience time. They're really not going to pull you aside and engage you. And I think this is the critical vision, I think, moving forward.
So guys, I put that text number and the word low in chat below. So if you're watching this, the Facebook video, it's in comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description. You'll notice like down below the video in YouTube, there's a description, and we'll put that. And then of course you can reach out to Scott. Scott, for anybody that wants to reach out to you, what's the best way and what's the website?
Yeah, just here's what's really simple. Text LLP to the same number, LLP, which is Lender Launchpad, and it goes right to my phone, and they can get all the content, and they can have my number, and they can engage and all that stuff. So pretty simple.
And guys, here's the ninja thing he's doing. He's building an audience. He's building an audience on Clubhouse. Guys, I'm trying to build an audience on Clubhouse. I'm not at 1,000 yet. Looks like I'm a little over 700 followers. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you follow the moderators, Catherine, Tony, Scott, Shayla, Keith, and then guys, build mobile clubs. I mean, build audiences. That's what modern loan officers do. They're great leaders. They deliver advice. They leverage technology. They leverage social media to build audiences and to communicate. What do you stand for? What do you solve problems for? So guys, we got 3 minutes left. Keith, you have been quiet for a while. You got a minute or less. What do you want to make sure this audience walks away from in a minute or less? And then I'll give everybody a chance to give a closing thought, and then we'll wrap it.
Oh, wow. Put me on the spot there, bud. I'm all firing text messages off as I'm kind of listening to you third party. Man, there's so much opportunity on social media. And I think okay, here we go. 2020 was a softball. We all know that. 2020 was a softball. I said this on the Clubhouse call. We've got to evolve in 2021. People fell into volume in 2020. And what I'm so excited about in 2021 is the opportunity to shine. People who are awesome are going to soar in this market. It was very hard to stand out in a crowd in 2020, whereas now in 2021, with the challenges that we're going to face with interest rate going up and inventory issues and trying to get your offers accepted, like you are going to soar if you go out there, be awesome, and just put it out there on social. And Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Clubhouse are those places to do it. And there's so much opportunity. So don't do it all. Grab one and go.
Love it. And if you are a mortgage coach, make sure that you're talking about total cost analysis and you're doing it from a place of value for families. Tony, 1 minute or less, closing thoughts.
Yeah, well, the first thing, in the chat, someone had asked about usernames. Did we cover that?
We did. We did.
Perfect. Cool. Look, Keith's spot on with his answer. I completely agree with him. I'm excited because I just like the way that this particular platform plays into my strengths, and I enjoy facilitating those conversations and contributing to Mortgage Talk. And it's really exciting for me. But here's the other thing that's exciting. Keith, you were in a room with me last night. We were just in the audience, but you talk about blowing up your social media. This was a whole conversation about using your Instagram, which I'm horrible at, but using your Instagram, how to show up on YouTube, leveraging these social media strategies. I mean, and we're talking power users, millions of follower type of people that are giving information. You wouldn't find it here, no offense, but in this group, you're not going to get those kind of influencers in that space. So the other thing about Clubhouse, yeah, tune in for the mortgage content, but also tune in to what's going on in technology, what's going on in the financial markets, what's going on how to really be a power user with social media. There's so many other resources that you can tap into. And look, it's just a matter of dedicating the time. The reason why Catherine and Scott and Keith and now Dave and myself have this presence that we have is because we've invested some time into getting to know the platform, participating in conversations. So jump in, get used to it, get involved, and it will grow organically for you. The time is now. This is like an entry level ramp into a beta product. So that's more in a minute, but that's how I always roll. Back to you, Dave. Thanks.
It was 2 minutes and you didn't ramble too bad. Catherine, 1 minute or less, closing thoughts.
Oh boy. You can't learn something if you're not in it. So use it right away. Don't hesitate to reach out with questions, and it's fun. It fits certain personalities. So if it fits yours, go for it and just do it. I promise the learning curve is quick, and it is fun. Even if you just listen, that's okay too. So would love to have you.
Yep. Scott Nicholson, 1 minute or less, closing thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I have like 2 followers, so I'm literally brand new. So just come with me. We'll just walk the 101 course together and expand. But I think what's really important for the listeners to understand, the group, the panel that's already assembled, I mean, you got us 2 times a day for 5 days a week. Do you realize how much, I mean, literally just 101 stuff to advanced stuff. Do you realize how much you can get out of this? It's incredible to have that open conversation in there. I think 8:30 and 3, I think it's right every day, Monday through Friday.
That is the game plan, guys. We're going to have a place. So my closing thought is, guys, we want to be valuable. We want to be the best and show up with that heart. If you're going to show up there, you go, how can I be better? And if you're learning and you're getting better, if you're making new connections that are valuable to you, make you happy, make you feel like you're growing, that's a good thing. We are going to wrap this up. We will keep this conversation going. Keep an eye in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group for when we are doing clubhouses. We're not going to market it every single day. Hey, every single day, 8:30, but we will market it weekly. 8:30 is a place to start your day. Look for Mortgage Coach Mastermind. And then we're going to have a 3 o'clock in the day huddle, and there will be people in value. And if you have ideas, put them down below. Let them know what you are. Let us know what they are. And you guys, thank you for being moderators. Thank you for being Mortgage Coach leaders. And thank you for the friendship. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Take care, everybody.